This evening we're broadcasting the first of 3 sound portraits devised and compiled by Stephen Henry Gill from Japanese and Western sources. The readers are Jim Norton, Togo Igawa, John Moffat, and Megumi Shimanuki, and the subject is rain.
Japan is a country of rain. Rain is the constant companion of Japanese travelers. It is natural, and therefore the experience of it should be sought out and enjoyed. Listed among the most beautiful sights, one frequently finds such and such a place in the rain. To have seen a particular garden or a particular view under rainfall adds to one's appreciation of it.
幾たりかしぐれ駆け抜く瀬田の橋 The long bridge of Seta. I cannot tell how many are hurrying across it, blurred by the sudden rain.
Oblique parallel lines cut across the foreground, the background in receding shades of grey, like painted stage scenery. We feel through the whole curving length of the bridge the nature of this shower. Umbrellas and bamboo hats tilted in all directions. People run with hunched shoulders, leaning forward. Those oil paper umbrellas seem difficult to hold and obviously inadequate, a subtle expression of the smallness of man in the poetry of a rainy landscape.
Kirishigure, Fuji o minu hizo omoshiroki. Cold misty rain hides from me Mount Fuji, yet in such a day, finding joy, the joy of quiet beauty.
There have evolved in Japan many names for falling rain, classified according to the strength and style with which it falls, and to the season it falls in. Jiame denotes a continuous rain falling at an unvarying rate. Shuru-type rain falls heavily and then comes to an abrupt end. Niwaka-ame is a rainfall which starts suddenly but does not last long. And Tenkyu, tears from heaven, is a term for drops of rain falling from a blue sky. On a cloudy day, when you see particles of rain wafting around on the air, and you are unsure whether they are actually falling or rising, it is konuka-ame, rice bran rain. There are besides many onomatopoeia used to evoke the way rain falls. Potsun potsun, a drop here, a drop there. Potsu potsu, a few drops here, a few drops there. Sara sara, a steady gentle drizzle. Or za za, cats and dogs. Their minute differences of nuance correspond to the differences that distinguish one state of nature from another, one month from another.
Sara sara.
In spring, there is Natane, a gentle rainy period, a kind of loosening of the bonds of the skies. Spring rain, harusame, is generally mild, falls quietly, and is considered one of the joys of the season.
夜は嬉しく、昼は静かや春の雨。Falling at night, it gives me happiness. By day, tranquility. The spring rain.
A soft, warm spring rain was falling like mist. Through it, 2 men walked conversing along a willow-lined road. One was in a straw raincoat and sedge hat. The other held an open paper umbrella. The 2 were united by the sound, touch, smell, and sight of the rain. It was agreed that the big drops forming along the hanging branches of the willows were the very epitome of spring.
Harusame ya yanagi no shizuku ume no chiri. Spring raindrops collect at the fringes of the willow, plum petals plastered to the ground.
しょぼしょぼ。
There are several rainy periods each year in Japan, but the one that is commonly known as uki, the rainy season, lasts from the beginning of June to mid-July. Heavy rain is most common towards the end of the season, but for weeks the air inside as well as out is damp, visibility is limited, and most days it drizzles. It lasts just long enough for books and shoes to go mouldy.
さみだれの竹に挟まる在所かな Crests drooping in the rains. Bamboo groves on all sides hem it in. The place where I live.
June came, and with it the long, endless rain. 5 weeks of steady, quiet downpour and overcast skies. Everything dripped. Day after day dawned on the silver-grey sky, the whisper of raindrops upon the roof. Beside the pond stood willows, wreathed in pearl-coloured fume, and on the wrinkled water, under silky threads of rain, the white lotus flowers swayed gently. Pebbles shone wet on the gravel path leading to our gate, and green baby frogs leaped in the new-made stream.
さみだれに河津の泳ぐ戸口かな The early summer rains. Water laps, and frogs are swimming at our very doors.
There was an intimacy caused by the rain. Our field of vision became narrower, our focus shorter. Oceans and lakes and rivers disappeared. The world was smaller. People huddled together. Being inside, looking out, we could see short distances only, and the watery world became a place of trickles and drops and puddles. The great cup-shaped leaves of the lotus plants, swaying high above the pond, caught the rain and held it for a while, but always, after the water in the leaf reached a certain level, the stem bent and emptied it out with a loud plash, then straightened again. The motion and colour of water moving upon the green oleaginous surface were exactly those of quicksilver. In mid-July, when the sun burst forth at last, every thatched roof in view steamed to the opening of the heavens.
山端を小雨晴れゆく若葉かな Beyond the field on the mountain slope, the light rain has cleared. Now bathed sublime in sunshine, the new green woods.
Sa
Yudachi is a shower that falls in the afternoon or evening in summer. It is considered to be a refreshing surprise.
夕立の巣は来る音よ森の上 The summer shower. It comes with a sudden, awe-inspiring sound through the forest treetops.
Such a shower may well come on with a quite alarming violence, and in his reaction to this, each shows his true character, some running to shelter, some hurrying slowly, trying not to lose too much dignity, some seizing hold of anything that will keep them dry for a few moments.
夕立や知恵様々のかぶり物 A summer shower, the wisdom of each one revealed in their choice of headgear.
The poet looks particularly at the assortment of things that are being held over the heads: fans, bowls, handkerchiefs, sleeves, straw mats, and, oddest of all, a sieve.
ピカピカゴロゴロ
In summer, Ryu, thunderstorms, sometimes develop in the interior mountains and basins of Japan.
稲妻にこぼるる音や竹の露 A flash of lightning, and in the hush, the sound of drops of water striking the bamboos.
For the first drops, rain seemed an inappropriate word. The balls of water were thick and solid and left splash marks the size of saucers. Then they fell heavily and noisily and for a long time. The air was filled with water, everything becoming a uniform dull grey. At each flash of lightning, though, the pools and streams and rivulets of rain became each one a sudden white, Black and white. No other colors now.
来晴れて一重の夕日セミの声 The thunderstorm is past. A single tree picked out in early evening sun. Cicada voice. Dosha dosha.
When I arose that morning, the air was oppressively warm. It began to rain at noon, and the trees to move uncertainly. Boats were beached and tied down, and houses shuttered, the wind all the time increasing in strength. In the afternoon it developed into a regular typhoon, the wind now coming in furious, warm, wet, tropical gusts, and the treetops danced wildly. The pagoda stood out darkly, its wooden ribs creaking in the gale. That evening heavy rain clouds rolled up from the horizon, and the heavens opened. The wind was now so strong that the naturally perpendicular rain seemed to have become horizontal. A monk was in the house upstairs, invited to the reading of the sutras in a Buddhist mass for the repose of a dead relative's soul.
客層の2階降り来るのは聞かな The autumn storm has the visiting priest soon coming down from upstairs.
Towards midnight, the storm suddenly abated for a moment, as it does sometimes in typhoon weather. Silence fell on the country and the houses. In the distance, a voice could be heard crying, "Hino-yojin! Hino-yojin! Look to your fires! Look to your fires!" The gale soon returned, however, and lasted all night. But with the morning rays, the wind had dropped a little, and the rain had ceased to fall. It was still cloudy, but growing bright. In the garden things were blown about and in disarray. The earth was almost white, with sand and stones left on the surface of the ground after the heavy rain. The typhoon had blown down many of the high fences, and had done a great deal of damage in the road beyond, in plucking tiles from the roofs.
野脇してネズミの渡る庭尋み After the gale, the mouse, with no option, scampering through the puddle.
ひたひた
In September and early October, during the change of seasons, there is another rainy period, Shurin. Again the path is wet with rain, not the hopeful wetness of spring, or the exuberant overflowing wetness of summer, but the wetness of autumn, Akisame, the subdued sadness of the decline of the year. In the early autumn, when it begins to rain occasionally, nature is the embodiment of Sabi, the eternal loneliness of the Japanese. Today is the day of the village festival, and though it is raining, the festival carriage is decorated as usual and passes by as we stand at the roadside. The gentle, cool autumn rain is staining the sides of the oxen pulling it.
草の雨祭りの車過ぎてのち The long procession and festival car gone by. Rain on the grasses.
After the wagon has creaked past, only the pattering of the rain is heard. The grasses on the roadside flinch or bow or stand immovable according to their nature. Raindrops rest motionless on the fading flowers, or hesitate and run along the paling stems and leaves. It requires a whole village with its remote antiquity, the festival and the car to pass ponderously by before the rain on the grasses can be properly appreciated.
Autumn deepened and leaves began to fall. The long rains had yet to lift.
落ち葉落ち 重なりて雨、雨を打つ。Onto the fallen leaves, more leaves fall. Onto the fallen rain, more rain is falling.
ハラハラ
Shugure are the unpredictable cold and wetting rains that fall between autumn and winter. Just when you think it's going to clear up, down it comes again. In spite of this fickleness, however, the Japanese poet feels no more animosity towards the rain cloud than it does to him. In his eyes, the rain is not falling on its own initiative, upon due consideration. The falling is for the rain a sort of obligatory action. He moves and the cloud moves, and when they come together, a wetting takes place.
あの雲が落とした雨に濡れている。It was the rain from that cloud that made me wet.
A winter shower has about it, though, the feel of an Indian ink painting, washes of grey and black on white. The cloud has come past the peak of the mountain, leaving it to the evening light, but a white shower is just now falling onto the village at its foot. In the foreground, the rain comes gusting into the dark forest through the stems of tall bamboos.
眼前を昔に見するしぐれかな。The scene in front of our eyes, transformed by the winter shower into a scene of long ago.
And then a night in early winter, stars brightly reflected in the cold, dark water of a pond.
池の星、またハラハラとしぐれかな。Again, the water ruffled by a winter shower. The stars on the pond again have disappeared.
パラパラ
While hio is a hail that sometimes falls in a summer thunder shower, the Japanese write more often of arare, the little icy balls that fall towards the end of winter.
In my hut I woke to hear showers of hail rattling over the grove of bamboo. When there is no more snow, hailstones come, this is what they say. I sat alone, already past midnight. For the rest of that night, I sat and wept with a light before me. The long months of winter snow had come to an end at last.
The rattle of hailstones like arrows on armor is a sound dark in itself, yet the swift, rushing, bouncing mobility of the little spheres, their wanton free-for-all antics before they melt away, is sign enough of spring.
ポツンポツン
Deep in the forest, but clear and distinct, is the sound of water dripping down after a shower, and the water drips into the depths of the mind. It may have been a warm summer shower, a cold rain of winter, or the heavy, deafening rain of late monsoon that has just ceased. Whichever, whatever, it is now just water, beating away in flexible moments of time. In the quietness of thought, the dripping sounds loudly in our ears, transmitting to us the echo of ancient days.
心すませば林の奥の雫なり。Quieten the mind, and you too will hear. Deep in the forest, water dripping down.
春雨や暮れなんとして今日もあり Spring rain It begins to get dark Today also is over
Megumi Shimanuki reading a translation of a Japanese haiku. It ended Rain, the first of 3 Japanese miniatures devised and compiled by Stephen Henry Gill, who also made the translations. The other readers were Jim Norton, Togo Igawa, and John Moffat, and the producer was Piers Plowright. You can hear the second Japanese miniature, Moon, next Sunday evening at 7:05 here on Radio 3.